On behalf of the management, faculty, and the students of IMT Hyderabad, extend a hearty welcome to one and all present here. I welcome you all to the Distinguished Speaker Series. Today we have the privilege to host a very special guest, Shri Jayesh Ranjan, whose esteemed presence has indeed glorified the event and added vibrancy to our session today. Shri Jayesh Ranjan is a member of the Indian Administrative Services of the 1992 batch and working in the state of Telangana. He holds a master's degree in psychology from Delhi University, a degree in business management from the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, and a master's in public management from Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, National University of Singapore. He is the All India topper of his IAS batch of 1992. He was awarded World Bank's Social Capital Visiting Scholarship in 2002 and the British government's Gurukul Chevening Scholarship in 2005. Shri Jayesh Ranjan is the Special Chief Secretary of the Industries and Commerce and Information Technology Departments of the Telangana government. His assignment involves developing policy frameworks, attracting new investments, identifying opportunities for utilizing IT in various government processes, and promoting the digital empowerment of the citizens. His last few assignments have been
just my intro or something else that you have to say? From the intro? No, that I'll cover myself. So, come, please join us. First of all, very happy to be here to interact with all of you. I was not told about the dress code. I didn't know that you have to wear a jacket and all. I came in kind of casual clothes. But nevertheless, very happy to see all of you. As was introduced, I also went to a business school almost in '89, so it is more than 30 years ago. But of course, I've moved on to a different work track, but nevertheless, it gives me lots of happiness to interact with business school students. It's not the first time that I'm addressing students in a business school. I mean, I have done it multiple times, including speaking here also on 3-4 occasions. So I have 3-4 templates that I use depending upon the preference. So if you attend a classical music concert, typically the singer usually asks कि आप क्या सुनना पसंद करेंगे, कौन सा राग सुनना चाहते हैं. So that's what. So I'll give you a menu and then you tell that okay, this rag will suit me today, so I'll play that rag. So one I speak about is new age skills for the managers. So as I told you, I went to a business school almost 30 years ago, but between then and now, things have changed quite a lot. So what are the new changes? What are the new trends? And in my position, I interact with lots of corporates, some of the senior most CEOs, leadership. So what do I admire about them? What do I see them doing, which is very impactful? So what are the skills for the new age manager? This is one topic. The second topic is that, see, many of you at some stage, possibly immediately after you complete your education, may become entrepreneurs or may join, let us say, a startup. Startups also are always looking for good talent, fresh talent. Many of you possibly may join startups. So what is it to become an entrepreneur? What kind of entrepreneurial mindset is required? What is happening in Telangana to promote innovation, to promote entrepreneurship? So that is the second thing that I speak about. The third thing which I can speak about on, as I told, I joined a business school. I was set for a corporate career, but I chose to kind of move on. I joined the civil services. So the third kind of theme which I can pick up is, it's more personal, like by leaving the management profession, a corporate life, what did I miss, but what did I gain? So that is more of a personal exploration, a personal journey. So which of these three would you like me to speak on? Let's do a poll. Okay. all three is also possible, but it will be very, very summary kind of thing. Because Professor Shri has told me that the attention span here is 15 minutes. It should not, my speech should not cross 15 minutes. So I can speak on all three also, but I think the preference is towards second, to speak about innovation, to speak about entrepreneurship, and a little bit about my own journey. What did I lose? What did I gain? Kind of thing. But what I'll do is I'll speak for about 15 minutes or so. I've kept my watch there, so I'm keeping an eye on the time. But if you want to kind of ask something or seek any clarification or want to make a point in the middle also, you're free to do so. Those will not be included in that 15 minutes, but you are free to do so. So, see, the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem is peaking like never before. One very good example is, many of you would be aware that Economic Times gives awards every year, Excellence in Business Awards. These awards are there maybe for 30, 40 years or so. I remember when I used to be a student, and Economic Times every year, it does a big PR around these awards. Ads will come, not just in Economic Times, but other papers also. And these are very coveted awards because these are selected by a very high-profile jury. These are not there's no hera-fairy in these awards. Everything happens very above board. So if you look, let us say 30 years ago, 40 years ago, who used to be the members of the jury? The jury members typically would be, let us say, Mr. Rahul Bajaj, Mr. Adi Godrej, someone from these kind of Kirloskar family, or some top business leader from the south, maybe from TVS or from one of these groups. So these used to be the main members of the jury, which would add weight to the selection process. If you look at who are the jury members in the last 4 or 5 years, you will not find anyone from what is called the old economy. There'll be no one from the house of Tatas, no one will be from the house of Bajajes, no one from Godrej, no one from Birla. Instead, you will find people like a Vijay Shankar Sharma, or a Ritesh Agarwal, or Bhavish, or the Flipkart folks. So these people have become the new poster boys of our economy. And also in terms of the impact that they have caused, it's also very visible. All of us in some form or the other use the solutions, use the products that these startups have created. 15, 20 years ago, journey of a entrepreneur, journey of a startup used to be very lonely actually. People would typically frown upon them. Suppose you were in a batch 10 years ago, and suppose you decided that I will not participate in the placement process, I will become an entrepreneur. Many of them would take this decision with lots of trepidation. They will not be sure if this decision will be supported in their family, in their peer groups, by their friends. There will always be a thinking that he's becoming an entrepreneur because he failed to get a good job. He was rejected in the placement process, nothing good came his way, and therefore by default, उसके पास कुछ करने के लिए और नहीं बचा था, therefore he has become an entrepreneur. But things have changed dramatically. I still remember, आप लोगों को पता नहीं मालूम है या नहीं, but in Hyderabad we have a fantastic innovation space which is called T-Hub. I mean, some of you may know, but even if you don't know much, or if you just know peripherally, you should organize with your faculty and with administrators to visit T-Hub sometimes. It is the world's second biggest innovation space where some fantastic work happens. So 10 years ago when we created this T-Hub and we began the activities there, I would go there frequently and talk to startups to find out what is their expectation, what is happening. And a large number of entrepreneurs would tell us that when we sit in this building and we see hundreds of others doing same things, being on the same path, doing the same journey, that gives us lots of courage and confidence and a feeling of solidarity that I'm not alone in that journey. So things have changed quite a lot, but still at some level, it is a lonely journey, it is a lonely process. So India as a country has done well in entrepreneurship and innovation. After the US and UK, the largest number of new startups which are registered are in India. The largest amount of funding which goes to startups is in India. But yet at many levels, people have some comments or observations about Indian startups. तीन चीजें लोग बोलते हैं Indian startups के बारे में. First, what they tell is that most of the work which is happening is just copy and paste. उन्होंने वहाँ पे Amazon बनाया, let me do a Flipkart there. उन्होंने वहाँ पे Twitter बनाया, let me do a coup here. उन्होंने वहाँ पे Uber बनाया, let me do an Ola here. And because of the size of our market, 140 million people, if you do it basically fundamentally right, you are bound to succeed. But there's very little originality in what you did. So this is one criticism, that most of the initiatives which happen in India are just copy and paste. The second criticism which people speak about is that there are thousands and thousands of problems which persist in our country, in villages, in cities, in working class neighborhoods, but no one addresses them. Most of the problems that people are trying to solve are what are called problems of the rich. So, for example, let us say if you join a Google or a Microsoft or any of these companies, you'll be doing great things, but obviously you will not be really addressing the bottom of the pyramid. And people mention this, that if you solve a problem for India or in India, in a way you can solve it anywhere in the world, at least in the what is called the global south. You can easily solve it in the global south. So that is one other criticism about Indian entrepreneurs. A third and more fundamental criticism, which is more about their mindset, etc., is that they lack a typical problem-solving mindset. I mean, you may become an entrepreneur by identifying some problem, but the problem-solving mindset is just beyond a superficial identification of problem. See, what happens is that all of us, I presume, are products of a very conventional educational system. We have gone to schools where the whole emphasis is to just memorize your chapters, write some exam, get some marks, move to the next class, forget whatever was taught in the previous class, start afresh, continue this, write some entrance exam, get selected, get into a job. So very little window is there to do original kind of work, creative kind of work. In most of the circumstances, original work and creative work is actually not encouraged also. You're not expected to kind of be original and all. I remember she mentioned that, I mean, I'm just digressing for a minute because it's something struck my mind. She mentioned that I was the IAS topper of my batch. So in those days, I don't really know whether it happens now or not. If you are the topper of the IAS exam, lots of people used to interview you. There used to be a magazine called Competition Success Review, then competition analysis. I mean, I forget the names. 3-4 magazines होती थी जो civil service के लोगों को उसमें they used to publish question papers and model answers and stuff like that. And when the results would come, they would also interview people. So they interviewed me. So one of the standard questions which was asked was that which coaching institute did you join? So my answer was that I did not join any coaching institute, but I did have access to coaching material from 1 or 2 big agencies, big institutions. But I said something else also, which in a way is funny, but it is also very telling about our system. So I told them that I read those coaching material to figure out what not should I write in that exam. Not to figure out what should I write, but what not to write. And they were very aghast, and some of them did not even publish this because they get lots of funding from these coaching institutes and all that. So But one of the newspapers at that time, it was not a mainstream paper, but it is called Employment News. In those days, we did not have internet, so all these UPSC notifications and all would come in that publication. So there they published it, and then many people asked that why did you say this? कि आपने coaching material पढ़ा, but इसलिए पढ़ा कि एग्जाम में क्या नहीं लिखें ये जानने के लिए, not what you should write. So I told them कि ये जो coaching material है हजारों लोग पढ़ते होंगे, I'm not the only one, and the UPSC syllabus is quite vast. So अगर उसको आपने अच्छे से पढ़ लिया है, that itself is a big achievement. And if you have read everything and if you have written it properly, you are sure to get some average kind of mark, which will still help you get into one of the services, because the exams recruit hundreds of people, thousands of people actually, for multiple services. But if you have to really move up to the top, your answer has to be very different from what everyone else is writing. And therefore, if you write the same thing, there'll be no originality, there'll be no individuality. You will have to be just, you'll be counted as just one amongst the thousand, etc. So that, I mean, the point which I was trying to make was that this kind of thing, that you be original, you do something on your own, you are creative, you do basic research, etc. These things are not really encouraged. And because the fact that across our educational spectrum, these things are not encouraged, it really kills the way in which you look at things. आपका जो perspective होता है, that remains underdeveloped, so to say. So identifying a problem, identifying whether this problem really impacts potentially millions of people or thousands of people, who else is solving that problem, is my solution 10 times better than what others are trying to do, what kind of skill sets are required to solve this problem, do I have all those skill sets, if I do not have those skill sets, where will I find those skill sets? I mean, all this entire range of decision making, thinking, makes someone a successful entrepreneur. But because this is not the way in which naturally we have been trained to apply our mind, we fall short in many things. We don't identify the right kind of problem. Copying and pasting appears to be an easy way out. Even if you have identified a problem, the entire dimensions of those problems are not visible to us. We sometimes overestimate our skill sets, कि सब कुछ हम ही कर लेंगे, किसी और की ज़रूरत नहीं है. And then you fail to build a good team. So there are various reasons for which startups don't succeed. In fact, this is true the world over also, but particularly true in India, that many young people these days are motivated to do something on their own. They're not very keen to work in someone else's company. They want to start their own company. But at some point in time, because of the problems that I spoke about, they get demotivated, they lose track, and then they kind of get back into the job market and lead relatively unsatisfactory kind of lives, etc. So if you have to really become an entrepreneur, now if you have not done something for, let us say, 15 years, 18 years, 20 years, I mean, it is not going to come to you like a miracle. कोई आसमान से कोई जादू हो जाएगा, एकदम से आपका दिमाग sharp हो जाएगा, entrepreneurial हो जाएगा. ऐसा नहीं होगा. I mean, it won't have this kind of, I mean, no miracle of this kind will happen. But अपने दिमाग को आप उस तरह से train कर सकते हैं. And I'll speak a little bit about how we have tried to do this in Telangana also, as a government. But just to leave a thought with you, that you can train yourself to become a good entrepreneur, and that training happens by converting even simple chores, simple tasks, simple academic assignments into an exercise where you look at everything afresh. If everything is new, everything is challenging, everything is creative, कोई आपको routine में भी कुछ काम करना है, if you keep asking questions कि ऐसा ही क्यों करें, वैसा क्यों नहीं करें, तीसरी तरह से क्यों नहीं करें, and if I do it in some other way, how does the result differ? If we start kind of exercising our minds just in the regular kind of work that we are doing, you don't have to take any coaching, you don't have to do anything else. Many of you will be doing assignments, summer projects, internships, etc., etc. Those are also great opportunities. In fact, I'll tell something to you, something interesting which we have done in Telangana. Quite a few of you would be engineering students. I mean, you would have done engineering courses. courses, you must be having an engineering degree. Engineering courses may typically, between the third year and the fourth year, you have to do some kind of a project. So in Telangana also, there are large number of engineering colleges. Of course, we have the IIT and the triple IT and the BITS. They are at one level, but we also have state-run colleges. I mean, they are affiliated to the state government. They are not state-run per se, but they are affiliated to the state university. So वहाँ पे बहुत सारे colleges के बारे में लोग बताते थे कि ये जो assignment करना होता है, the project which you have to do, this has been converted completely into a farce. I mean, no one applies their mind. It is not taken seriously. You just prepare something, submit. आपको 40 मार्क दे दिया जाएगा. The faculty also does not demand any good quality. It's just a tick in the box that I submitted something, got 40 marks, and it's all done. In fact, we used to hear rumors also. Hopefully they're not true, but the rumors used to be that outside the college there are some shops. If you go there and pay 1,000 rupees, they will give you an old report. You just change your name and just submit, and that will help you get 40 marks. So just, it just costs 1,000 rupees to get 40 marks. So the sum and substance is that it was converted into a big farce. We decided to do something serious about it. So what we did was that we made it mandatory that this project that every student has to do, it has to end in a business plan. You don't have to write essays and all. जो भी आप कर रहे हैं, उसको आप commercialize कैसे करिएगा, लोगों तक आप कैसे ले जाइएगा, how will you convert it into a real product which will be used by people. You have to add that dimension also. Of course, you are an engineering student, so you have to show technology application. But जो भी आप technology उसमें apply करेंगे, उसका जो नतीजा जो होगा, how do you take it to the people? How do you convert it into a viable and a feasible and a useful product? So just this exercise, we have been doing this for the last 4 or 5 years, and thousands of students do this. At the end of the year, we actually ask these students, some of the students, not everyone, at least the ones where the ideas were found to be very novel, very interesting, the solution seems potentially very strong. We ask them to present it. यहाँ पे Hyderabad में there is one more business school. I'm sure you would have heard of it. It is called the ISB, the Indian School of Business. So ISB के help से we conduct this annual showcase. This is called the Technology Entrepreneurship Program, TEP. So we get around 100 students who showcase what they have done, and I attend this program every year. I mean, however busy I am, I take lots of interest to see what is coming out of this exercise. And some amazing kind of things have happened, and you will not believe it. Some of the students who have showcased, they're from some of the most remote and rural and some very backward kind of places, and the colleges don't have great facilities, faculty are ordinary, nothing very stimulating happens in those colleges, but they have been able to come out with some brilliant ideas, etc. So fundamentally, if opportunity is given, if we are told that instead of just submitting something which will give you 40 marks, if you just do some mental exercise, think of a real problem, and it's not very difficult to find problems in India. There are thousands of problems all around us. Just pick some, apply your mind, what technology can solve, which technology can solve it, and then how will you take it to the people. You don't have to write some hundreds of pages, even 20 pages is good enough. But show some original thinking, great ideas come. So this is something very fundamental. We have lost the opportunity, of course. As you know, new education policy and all have come, and government wants teaching methodology, teaching learning methodology to be modernized, to be made more child-friendly, and so on. But whatever will happen in the future. Maybe the next generations will benefit. But all of us have missed the bus. But इसका ये मतलब नहीं है, just because we have missed the bus, we can't become good entrepreneurs or successful entrepreneurs. So that is the key point which I was trying to tell you. And in our country, the government also has started promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. I mentioned a while ago that we have built one of the largest innovation spaces called T-Hub. We have built possibly the country's largest prototyping facility, which is called T-Works. There is a dedicated innovation space for women entrepreneurs, which is called V-Hub, and so on and so forth. So our government also encourages young people to become innovators, entrepreneurs. We want them to succeed. These spaces have been created to guide them on what product to take up, what support the government can give, what kind of mentorship is available, what kind of technology guidance is available. Lots of work today is being shaped by AI. And as many of you would know, AI requires developing a model or training that model, for which lots of data is required. Getting access to data itself is a big stumbling block. So in Telangana, we have made an open data portal. जो भी आपको data चाहिए, अगर सरकार के पास वो data है, I make it available to you absolutely free of cost. Most of it is already there in the public domain, but उसके अलावा भी अगर आपको कुछ चाहिए, we make it available to you. Similarly, once your model is ready, you would like to test it, you would like to do a POC, we provide opportunities to do that. और हमारी पॉलिसी में एक और बहुत बड़ा फीचर है. इनफैक्ट many of you may not be able to appreciate what I'm telling, but if you remember it, and at that juncture, when you choose to become an entrepreneur, if this, what I'm going to tell you now, if this influences you, that will be great. So as compared to any other state, हमारे हिंदुस्तान में 28 states हैं, as you would know. This is something very unique to Telangana. यहाँ पे हम लोगों ने अपनी पॉलिसी में कहा है कि अगर कोई होम ग्रोन स्टार्टअप है, startup which is in Hyderabad or in Telangana, and if they have come out with a solution or a product which is of relevance to the government, then the government will procure it bilaterally from you. There will be no procurement bids, process, competition. Typically, अगर सरकार को कोई चीज़ procure करनी होती है, then tenders are called. You participate, hundreds of others will participate. Whoever gives the lowest price for some minimum specs, they are selected. But typically, this process is not friendly for startups. Startups won't have enough eligibility in terms of net worth, in terms of past track record, and they'll be pushed out. So हम लोगों ने ये पॉलिसी बनाई है कि अगर आपका कोई solution है जो सरकार के लिए, obviously when I say for the government, I mean for the people. अगर लोगों के फायदे के लिए कुछ आपने बनाया है, and you are homegrown, then I will bilaterally procure you. No bids are required, no tendering. You don't have to out-compete anyone. We'll discuss mutually कितना आपका commercials होता है, कितना खर्च होता है. I'll be agreeing to pay that. I'll give you the first work order. This is a very big thing for a startup. We have seen in the last so many years, you may have brilliant ideas, but आपके पास first customer नहीं है. That becomes a very frustrating thing. To acquire the first customer is a Herculean task. And many startups, they just kind of fade away just because they could not get the first customer. So in Telangana, we guarantee that we will be your first customer. And because we have given you the first work order, we have created a revenue stream for it, for you. Many other doors open based on that. अब 10 जगह और जाके बता सकते हैं, I've done this, I've got this work order, I've got this revenue, and so on and so forth. Your valuation improves, your funding improves. So what I'm saying may not, as I said, make sense to many of you, but अगर आप entrepreneur बनना चाहते हैं, if you want to begin this journey, what I'm telling you is like gold for a startup. That I'm guaranteeing you that I'm going to give a market for you, provided your solution is of relevance to the government. अगर आप कुछ you're doing something which is B2C, as they say, it is consumer facing, there's no government role in that, then good luck to you. We'll support you in various other ways, but obviously there'll be no order from the government. So as I said, these are also very good times to think of becoming an entrepreneur, and many people, as I told you, Hyderabad of late has become a very important center for entrepreneurship. We work with, at any given point of time, a few hundreds of startups, and when I talk to them, when I interact with them, I do notice that their teams have people who have a business school background, they are fresh, but they are guiding the team in their go-to-market strategy, or they do this business development task. Some of them also, some of you I know are studying or going to study finance, so many of them also work as CFOs in these kind of startups, and that experience is very rewarding. I'm not saying that working in a large company is not rewarding at all, but what I notice, and I can share this with you, I mean, I in any case would have spoken a little, but I noticed that time is running out. about my own journey. So I can very quickly tell you that one of the reasons I chose not to pursue a corporate career is that in Calcutta, in IIM that is, between the first year and the second year, you have to do a summer internship. So I was selected to do this in a bank. I mean, I'm sorry, it's a bank now. In those days, it was not a bank. It was a large it was an institutional finance body. It was not having any retail kind of thing. Like today we see them having all their retail banks and ATMs and all that. In those days, it was just industrial funding institution, but the country's biggest at that time also. I don't want to name them. So when I did this summer project in Bombay, their headquarters is in Bombay, the kind of work culture which was there, the kind of, I'll just tell you, see, some of you who are familiar with Bombay, you will know that it is a linear city, and people use the trains particularly to travel, or generally in Bombay. So this office was in South Bombay, near Nariman Point, and offices start emptying by 5:30 because लोगों को train पकड़ना होता है. They have to reach, all those Ghatkopars and all those, those far-flung places in Bombay. But in that office, the culture which I noticed was, suppose one employee has some work and he decides not to leave by 5, he chose to stay back till 6 or 7. Next day you will find 30 others staying back till 7, just to show कि वही काम नहीं कर रहा है, हम लोग भी काम कर रहे हैं. So this rat race kind of mentality, that just to kind of pull someone down, or just to kind of elevate your own kind of esteem or your impression about you. And the goals which people would look at, I found them to be very narrow, very petty. So at that late stage, I took a call that I'll kind of move on. And I mean, luck was in my favor. I wrote this exam and got straight away, got the highest rank, and my career has been very, very rewarding thereafter. But the point which I was trying to tell you was that while large companies still require people like you, professionalism is also at a different level altogether. I'm sure these things which I mentioned, which used to happen 30 years ago, they don't happen anymore. People don't care whether he's working the whole night or whether he's working for half a day. It is the contribution which matters. There is work from home now. You don't have to be physically present to demonstrate. So dynamics have changed quite a lot. Lots of professionalism has come. But still I noticed that for many young people, either becoming an entrepreneur or working in an entrepreneurial setup, that is working with a startup which is at the beginning of its journey, becoming one of the early team members, guiding that company, that gives much more satisfaction and kind of a feeling that whatever potential that I have, that is getting fulfilled. So I hope many of you possibly will end up in something in a space which is similar. But even if you're planning to get into a regular corporate career, things are very, very different today. New age skills have taken over. Lots of technology is being used. That is again something which I would really encourage you to become familiar with, dabble into, because literally everything today is getting disrupted using technology. So as a manager, when you join some organization, one of the most important thing is your personal credibility. Management styles, leadership styles have also changed. Today, no one will respect you just because of your designation. Your designation could be very fancy, but if it is seen by people that you know nothing, that designation will not matter at all. People actually will laugh at you. Earlier, people would laugh behind your back. Now they will laugh on your face. So nothing is more important than being ahead of the curve, knowing everything. And in these days, the most important content to know is technology, and therefore to know, become familiar with technology. Again, when I say that you become familiar with technology, it's not that you have to code or you have to learn to code or anything, but you have to understand the applications of technology. Coding is not relevant at all anymore. I mean, there are software which can do coding for you. Gen AI can do coding for you. But where is it that you can apply that code? So even in my work, I mean, my work is very different now. I only, as was introduced, I only look at policies and investments and all that. But despite that, I have subscriptions to Gemini. I use Gemini quite frequently. Of course, I use ChatGPT more for fun, but Gemini I use quite seriously to prepare presentations, to summarize emails, to prepare email replies and things like that. So it's not that I'm the salesperson for Gemini. You are free to use whatever you want. But if you do these kind of things, then only that mental block that I don't know what is prompt AI, how do I give a prompt. I mean, this kind of learning, this kind of experience will teach you all these things. So these are some of the things which I wanted to share. So is it okay, Professor Harsha? Anything else? As I said, I didn't come with any preparation. I just walked in. I thought it will be a easy kind of thing. It's a non-working day today, isn't it? Saturday. So enjoy your holiday. Very good. Euro is going on. I was up till 3 a.m. I was watching the match. That's why I feel a bit kind of run down. Today is also a very good match. England versus Switzerland at 9:30. See, these sporting events, Euro, World Cup, these happen once every 4 years. So making some sacrifice once every 4 years is worth it.
Good afternoon, sir. Over here, sir.
You are a faculty, isn't it?
No, sir, I'm a volunteer.
Okay, sorry. I was about to say that let's give first preference to students.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is that of late, number of students who are having a civil services background and now joining MBA, the number of students has been steadily rising in the past few years. I have had the privilege of interacting with a few of them personally, and many of them are still having some self-doubts, like they left their preparation for civil services and now they have got into MBA. They are having a lot of self-doubt. So as a bureaucrat who has a like MBA background, what advice do you have for such youngsters?
Who want to get back to civil services, is it? Or who have left civil services?
They are conflicted whether they are going in the right direction or not.
No. So see, it's like this. In those days, the options were very few. Professional choices were very limited, and therefore many young people would look up to become a civil servant, and many of them would succeed. Some would not, but things have changed dramatically. So even you chose not to get into the civil services, there is nothing morally doubtful about it. I'm sure you can still do a good job in whatever you are doing. And as I mentioned to you, becoming an entrepreneur is again something which is very creditable today. They are the poster boys of the current economy, the new economy. And as a civil servant also, I feel, of course, very happy that my trajectory is very happy. I've been able to make immense contribution, and at the end of the day, I'll be closing my chapter with lots of gratitude and a feeling of happiness. But the same is not true of everyone. So I will not kind of make some false claim to say that so for instance, I joined the civil services in 1992. There are 80 of us in our batch. And if I look back, and if you ask me really honestly to tell, I would say that only about 40 had careers which can be called fulfilling and satisfying and all. So it's not to say that the others are languishing. I mean, they also have positions, designations. As is said in the movies, unke paas bhi bangla hai, unke paas bhi gaadi hai, unke paas bhi maa hai, but nothing more than that.
A very good afternoon, sir. I'm Gauri. So actually, maybe I'm digressing from the topic a bit, but I want to ask your thoughts about the education in India forward. Like, of course, we have the new education policy, but as you said, that our education system is not inclined towards making mindset, which is problem solving.
So I'll ask you a question. Yeah, back there. So see, every year around this time actually, around April, May, June, some very important results come out. IAS exam results come out in May. IIT entrance result comes out. NEET, of course, is in a mess now, but वो भी result इसी समय आता है. So all these exams results, when they come, you will typically find every year in the newspaper. In fact, I just read it 3 days ago about one student. So every year you will find in the newspaper कि some auto rickshaw driver's son has become an IAS officer. Some vegetable vendor's daughter has become she has got admission in IIT. अभी जो 2 दिन पहले, the news which I read in the Times of India, from Srikakulam district, someone whose father is a laborer. He actually works as a mason in a construction site. He has got admission in IIM Lucknow and things like that. So, I mean, these are all very inspiring. But then the question to ask is, if let us say one auto rickshaw driver's son has become an IAS officer, why is it that thousands of auto rickshaw driver's sons are not becoming IAS officer? Why is it that thousands of vegetable vendors' daughters are not getting into the IIT? Why is it that thousands of laborers' children are not joining IIM Lucknow? So what is happening? Why is it that one person is able to join but thousands others are not joining? So if you really dig deep into it, I mean, ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है कि islands, मतलब these are very few and far between. One example, and these are so few and far between that they are covered in the newspaper. They capture people's imagination. Some of you might have seen, there was a movie called 12th Fail, which also showcased the struggle of some person. Of course, his economic background was not that deprived as some of the others that I've spoken about. So something different is happening, but इससे एक चीज़ का ये भी proof होता है कि if you are born in an auto rickshaw driver's house, your life is doomed. ऐसा कोई वो नहीं है. There is no formula like that. कि अगर आप ऑटो रिक्शा ड्राइवर के घर में पैदा हुए तो आप कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते हैं. Your hands are tied, your choices are gone. That is not true. And these examples show that that is not true. These are not exception to the rule. There are many such exceptions. So obviously there is no rule like that. But क्यों ऐसा होता है, क्या होता है? So if you ask them, I mean, I know some of them actually, frankly speaking. So if you ask them कि क्यों, मतलब how, what motivated you? You are from a very deprived family. कोई aspiration भी नहीं इस तरह के families में रखता है कि हम वहाँ जाएंगे. Their aspiration may be कि ऑटो रिक्शा की जगह हम कुछ कार ड्राइवर बन जाएंगे या हम दुबई जाके किसी शेख के घर में कार चलाएंगे. मे बी दीज आर द स्टैंडर्ड एक्सपेक्टेशंस, एस्पिरेशंस दैट यू हैव. नो वन हैज एस्पिरेशंस that will appear in the UPSC exam and not just appear for the sake of appearing. I'll crack it, I'll get into it, and so on. So how does it happen? आपके जो aspirations हैं एक level से बिल्कुल दूसरे level पे आ जाते हैं. So most of the times there are one or two of the people who kind of create that spark. Sometimes it is a person who is very visible in the public life, who is helping people, who is doing great things. So you suddenly feel inspired कि अगर ऐसा ये कर रहा है तो it must be something which I can also try for, I can also think about it. Sometimes it is a person who holds importance in that family. It could be the teacher, it could be some relative, it could be some neighbor. But once this idea is seeded कि ठीक है आप भी कर सकते हैं, there is no disability which prevents you from going into that path, then lots of hard work, perseverance, planning, all that happens. So if we are able to spark this kind of a aspiration in one person's child, the education moving forward needs us to do it for everyone. Tomorrow it should not be कि एक ही ऑटो रिक्शा ड्राइवर का लड़का पास हुआ, बाकी सारे फेल हो गए. I mean that's not how it should be.
Greetings, sir. Sir, you've been part of the Indian administrative services, and there have been many times when you are supposed to make tough choices in a very stressful environment. And in today's context, we have too much of information available. So sometimes by default that leads to too many choices, and sometimes too many choices are paralyzing. So how do we navigate through that? as per your experience, and what is the art of that?
No, so it's a very good question, and it's true of all professional contexts. It is true of the civil servants, but it's true of many other contexts also, where you have to choose amongst various alternatives. So basically, it's a kind of a skill, and this skill also develops through experience, through practice, and most importantly, your own willingness to improve that skill. See, potentially all of us can develop all kinds of skills. किसी में कोई कमी नहीं है. Everyone is roughly at the same level playing field. But most of the times we fail to develop some skill or the other because of our own kind of a mental block that possibly this is not for me, this is not required, someone else will do it, why should I bother, and things like that. So how do you evaluate all the alternatives? How do you select which is the best? Lots of it is intuitive. There is some assessment, there is some judgment, but at the end of it, it is a skill. Some people develop the skill so well that everything that they do, it's like the Midas touch. Sab cheez sona ban jati. So that is all I'll tell you. I mean, this question, while it's a serious question, but the plain answer is that ये एक skill होता है, इस skill को आप develop करिए. See, it is very well understood that amongst all the technologies that are available to us, the strongest, most powerful, most transformational is going to be AI. In fact, in September, and I'll encourage students also to see if they can join at least. We are organizing a conference in Hyderabad, a global AI summit, and the theme of the summit that we are organizing, it is on 5th and 6th of September. Making AI work for everyone. See, there have been many AI summits. In fact, just 3 days ago, there was a AI summit in Delhi. There are so many AI summits, etc., conferences, etc. Some of them, many of them actually, speak only about AI as a concept. AI में ये कर सकते हैं, वो कर सकते हैं. Data sets चाहिए, compute capacity चाहिए, skills चाहिए. So you're still talking about concepts and possibilities, etc. But the conference that we are doing in Hyderabad will showcase how AI is already being used across different streams, and it is already working for a variety of stakeholder groups. So it is beyond concept now. I mean, concept, we need to keep an eye on that as well. Lots of new things continue to come up, which is great, but we need not keep waiting endlessly. In fact, if your institution is not using AI, then maybe you are still in the 19th century. That is all I can tell you. Everyone can benefit from AI, and you can use that to become much more productive, much more time will be available to you. For example, let us say you read, you have a habit of reading newspapers. Let us say you spend 30 minutes reading a newspaper. You don't need to spend 30 minutes now. Suppose you are interested in a particular kind of topic. Let us say US elections are happening and you want to keep track of what is happening. You can just subscribe to some AI-assisted tool which will curate news for you, which will just give you the summary of what is written in that page in maybe 2 sentences, 5 sentences. Whatever you do, suppose you have to do an assignment, you can do a prompt query. I mean, I know that there are differing views on this. Many institutions don't encourage students to use these kind of tools, but I don't see anything wrong in it because that is the reality. Use that tool, but again, as I told you, when I was preparing for the IAS exam, I used these kind of tools at that time to understand what not to write. So you also use one of the AI tools just to get a sense of what is the direction, what is the argument, but then be original within that. That will actually be a greater challenge that will train your mind better. So in whichever possible way, we can use it, we can develop it, and we don't need to rely on very sophisticated kind of tools which someone else is developing. In fact, you should encourage the class as a whole to list out maybe 50 top AI apps which are available today. And you should ensure that within a week or so, at least 10 of them should be installed in their mobile phones. And they should be using all those apps. If this part of technology is not exposed to you, then eventually you will miss out. Libraries, scanning, news, assignments, gaining knowledge, developing your professional skills, all these things today are possible in the same amount of time, which earlier would have been a big struggle for you. Now you can handle so many things because these productivity tools are available. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your impeccable knowledge to the younger audience present here. We are indeed grateful. May I now request Professor Surajit Ghosh to administer the vote of thanks.
Yeah, so good afternoon to all my students, the dignitary present in the dais, director sir, staff, faculty. So I did prepare a formal vote of thanks, but being inspired by sir, I thought let me more be impromptu. So what I could understand, and I am trying to distill my thoughts as I go along. So what I could understand is these are exciting times for you people in your 20s. So this is the age of innovation, this is the age of tech, this is the age of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So what sir was trying to focus on is our ability to take risk. So 25 years back, the options were limited to only few professionals. Okay, so if you talk about a medical practitioner as a doctor or an engineer or something like this, or maybe a UPSC. But these days, I mean, the celebrities are people from Shark Tanks, celebrities are people who are entrepreneurs, that they are making it very, very big. As what sir said, that now the jury panels of even the ET summit or the major summits are all people who have made it big in very early age, maybe in 30s and 40s. Okay. So given that, I think the summary of what sir said is the ability to take risk, the ability to take contra bets. So don't go with what the majority is saying. The idea is to innovate, because this is the age of innovation. The idea is to innovate. The idea is to be a problem solver, and idea is to take risk. Okay, and what I could also understand, like, generally, we try to gravitate towards problems of the rich because that's where the money is to be made. But there are a lot of problems which are at the bottom of the pyramid. If we can solve a very niche, narrow problem which has a wider mass, then that's where you should be. Okay. On that note, let me thank Mr. Jayesh Ranjan for his unwavering support and commitment to IMT Hyderabad. So you may not be aware that sir is also in our advisory board on the Center for Digital Transformation. So thank you truly, sir, for your time and support to IMT Hyderabad. I would also like to thank our director, Professor Shri Reddy, for his encouragement and support. Last but not the least, a big thanks to our entire team of student coordinators, staff members for conducting these events successfully. Thank you so much.
May I now request the director, Dr. Shri Reddy, to present Shri Jayesh Ranjan with a memento as a token of gratitude and appreciation.